cojones to actually go forward and call this stuff out. And you can thank your failed, senile, dilapidated, Epstein partying with president for all of the work that we're about to do to every single one of you.
Thanks for
you
testifying.
this, you caused this, and this
The witnesses
of you. Your work. No,
we're
not going to.
witnesses time has expired.
Not finished, because ultimately, who doesn't have a say in this are the people of this state. 40 million people that you guys just.
Witness will come to order.
The people of this state.
The witness is not recognized.
Result of what you guys have done. This is a result of your policies, and you have no shame.
Okay.
You have no shame.
The witness,
No shame for what you've done. And I think that we all should be standing up here and signing.
Just cut off his mic. They cut off his mic. The sergeants are directed to remove the gentleman from the room.
History will not remember you kindly for what you have done. They will not. As a matter of fact, history might not remember you at all because of what you have done. Oh, listen.
A gentleman will be
shame. You need to have shame. History will not remember you for what you have done. It is a shame.
Remember, you probably saw that clip already this week, okay? That is congressional candidate Isaiah Martin testifying before the Texas legislature about the ongoing discussion of redistricting Texas congressional seats in the middle of the decade. You and I don't have to look at a calendar. No, it's 2025, not 2030. So why is all this happening? Why was he, after that clip, wrestled to the ground and arrested, actually? Because it's hot in Texas, but it's not hot in Texas like you think. It's hot in Texas because Donald Trump sent the word out that he wants 5 seats out of Texas so he can keep the House of Representatives. It doesn't sound like much, does it? 5 out of 435. But when you realize the majority they've got now is just 2 people, and their policies are weighing around them like an anchor as we approach the midterms, they know that. So King Trump has asked his minions to roll on out some new plans. He wants Texas to redistrict. And here's where it gets interesting. All this comes just at the same time as, oddly, the Department of Justice decided that Texas has districts that are somehow not in compliance with the Voting Rights Act. And so Assistant Attorney General sent a letter to Texas saying they need to redistrict post haste. Post haste must do it. She was asked about it. This is the Assistant Attorney General being asked about it in her hearing this week.
I want to ask you a question about Texas redistricting. As you know, President Trump has recently encouraged, I'll use that, Texas Republicans to do mid-cycle redistricting in order to gain more seats in the House of Representatives. I understand that after the president made that decision or that announcement, you personally sent a letter on July 7 to Texas in your capacity as Assistant Attorney General, arguing that 4 Democratic districts violate federal law. Is that the case?
It is the case that I sent a letter under my authority to administer the Voting Rights Act and indicate that in light of our analysis of 4 so-called coalition districts in Texas, that those districts were inconsistent with the Voting Rights Act.
And the date of July 7 was just coincidental that it occurred after the president had called on the Texas legislature to do mid-decade redistricting?
I don't remember what date, Senator. I probably sent 300 letters since I've been in this office. And so what I can say is that I send no letter or make no request without proper investigation.
Have you sent any other state legislature a letter where you have indicated that districts within their state are in violation of federal law?
Not yet.
Not yet. Just Texas. Yeah, that's a hell of a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences, not in this administration. There are no coincidences. What there are is people complying with Donald Trump's wishes. And as much as Ms. Dillon wants to deny it, there's no question. One day Donald Trump says he wants to redistrict in Texas, and the next few days they send a letter. Maybe the letter came first and Donald Trump saw an opportunity. Either way, remember those cute times? We used to call them norms and traditions. And back, this is funny. There used to be this norm and tradition where the president did not influence the Department of Justice. I mean, I know it sounds cute right now to you guys, but believe it or not, there was a time 6 months ago where that was a thing, where the president did not direct DOJ to do things and DOJ did not snap to his will. but this is Donald Trump's Department of Justice. And Miss Dillon absolutely followed the guidance of the president. He's quite happy. He's been talking about it ever since. What he hasn't been talking about? Floods. Because that's what the special legislature session was supposed to be for. The special session was supposed to be the devastating July 4th floods. You know, the flash floods that killed dozens, including children, little girls. Look, it's being noticed in Texas. Like Miss Dillon, well, somehow, I guess because she sent so many letters, 300 letters, she hasn't had time to make it to Texas.
I understand that you wrote a letter asking for Ms. Dillon to appear. We have not heard a response from it. You know, if Ms. Dillon wrote the DOJ letter to kick off this redistricting issue, it's Ms. Dillon that gave us this August 7th deadline as well. If Ms. Dillon believes we should dilute the suppressed Black and brown voices in CD 9, 18, and 29, and would like to threaten our legislative process, then she should come here and look us in the eye and answer any questions we may have, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, I said this the very first hearing, and I will say it again loud and clear. This is not redistricting. This is rigged districting. It is an absolute farce and disrespectful to every Black and brown citizen in this state, Mr. Chairman. And I'm not going to move from that position.
Yeah, he's not going to move that position. And why? Well, here's the map, you guys. So on the left of your screen is the current Texas congressional maps. Notice down the middle where the cities are, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. Way out west, you've got El Paso. Notice that, you know, there's some blue districts. There's some swing districts. Those are districts that were created to empower Black and brown voters. Now look at the new map to the right. Gets awfully red up north, doesn't it? Yeah, they're eliminating those districts and creating 5 new, almost guaranteed Republican districts. That includes Austin. Now Austin's in a seat. Austin gets split up between a district that goes all the way almost to the eastern border of Texas, for God's sake. The suburbs go all the way to the western border of Texas. That's what they're doing to try and disenfranchise Black and brown voters. And they all know it. They know they're doing it. So what's the question then? The question is, what do Democrats do to stop them? And they're fighting hard down there. They're doing their level best to stop it. Lots of folks have come in to testify. Republicans are checking their phones the whole time. I found clip after clip of people angry because the Republican representatives, senators are too busy not even to pay attention to what people drove all the way to Austin do. You know, 3.5, 4-hour drives, a normal drive to get across Texas. You know, Senator Alyssa Slotkin was asked about this because the question is, what can Democrats do to fight back? And unfortunately, Democrats have done the right thing. They have passed laws and constitutional amendments in many states, Washington State, Michigan, where a nonpartisan commission does all the redistricting. And unfortunately, that's left us in a position where we don't have the democratic, or excuse me, the political power to turn it back. But here's Alyssa Slotkin when she was asked about it at an Axios event, what Democrats, what they can do.
I don't know if it's unprecedented what they're trying to do in Texas. They're trying to pick their voters, right? They're trying to redraw the lines in the middle of a decade so that they have more seats, right? It is very open and obvious. In Michigan, we felt so strongly about gerrymandering and how bad it is when politicians get to draw their own districts that we passed a constitutional amendment, wildly bipartisan, right? My swing state, we voted on that 4 years ago, and it was, or maybe 6 years ago now, and it was deeply popular. And now we have a citizens commission that meets every decade and draws the lines, and it's much more rational. It's also competitive, right? It makes sure you have politicians who compete. But I will tell you this, if they're going to go nuclear in Texas, I'm going to go nuclear in other places. I'm not going to fight with one arm tied behind my back. I don't want to do that.
Sure.
But if they're proposing to rig the game, we're going to get in that game and
fight. And look, that's what you hear a lot here on Democracy and on the Midas Touch Network, I'm sure. The fact is we can't keep fighting with one arm tied behind their backs. You know, I remember at the beginning, I talked about the old norms and traditions. Remember those, how great those were? Guess what? They got thrown out when Donald Trump came down that escalator, and they haven't gotten any better since. Matter of fact, they're all but gone under Trump 2.0. They don't care about what the traditions are. They barely care what the laws are. They ignore court orders. They don't care. But if we continue to follow by the norms and traditions, not the laws, not what the law allows us to do, but the norms and traditions, what ought to be done, we're going to lose this country. We're going to lose this democracy. Well, people are fighting back. You saw that. Well, as always, I get lucky here on the show, as you know, and I got the opportunity to get the perfect guest for you guys to talk with. And that, of course, is Texas State Representative Gina Hinojosa. Now, she is chairman of the Progressive Redistricting Caucus there in Texas, and she represents Austin, which is set to be dismembered in that new map I showed you. So we got the perfect time. We got the great time. She's actually coming to us from Austin. I had the opportunity to talk to her a couple days yesterday. Let's get on with the interview with Representative Hinojosa. I am Fred Wellman. This is On Democracy After Wellman, right here on the Midas Touch Network. It's so good to have you guys here. Let's get on with the show. Welcome back. I am Fred Wellman, host of On Democracy After Wellman. As you can see, I already screwed up the show, and Representative Hinojosa is already in us. I introduced you before the meeting, ma'am. We're going to go fast because I know you're running around like crazy. And you represent HD 49, correct, ma'am?
That's right, Central Austin.
All right. So I was talking a little, I showed a few videos before we started of the craziness going on right now and all the madness that suddenly is having this, that got involved in the special session. But I think for framing for our audience is this was supposed to be a special session about the floods on July 4th, wasn't it?
Absolutely. We have whole communities that have been devastated by those July 4th floods. Over 137 Texans' lives lost, lots of little girls, just entire families. Completely tragic and preventable, right? We
Right.
seek spending these 30 days for nothing but flood relief and saving lives to ensure this never happens again. But guess how many hearings our Republican leadership has scheduled on flood? Today's the second, and 7 on the maps to rig the 26 midterms. 7 hearings to rig the 26 midterms, 2 on flood relief, and they dropped the maps that are manipulated to predetermine the outcome of the 26 elections. They dropped them yesterday on the eve of this hearing, where we're hearing from devastated Texans, from families, from communities. It is shameful.
I mean, I can't imagine these families are going through. They lost daughters, they lost others, whole families were wiped out. And instead of their legislators actually focusing on that, focusing their pain, focus on solutions. We know that some of the cabins I know at Camp Mystic are actually built in the 100-year floodplain. I mean, these are real issues. And I joke a lot that you don't have to believe in climate change being man-made or the sun getting closer or God holding us closer. The fact is we're having a lot of floods, and that place is one of them. Have you heard from these families about how angry they are that their pain and their needs are behind the fact that Donald Trump wants to redistrict?
No, I think these families are overwhelmed with just recovery, right? I mean, we were in Travis County, which is the county I represent. We were hit hard too, and we lost Texans too. And so we were at a site where an entire home was swept away. The whole home swept away by the floods, and they can't think past the devastation that's right before them. But we should be able to answer the call and lead. And in fact, a big tip to tell you that Governor Abbott and Republicans are not serious about leading on flood relief is the governor in the past has moved $250 million from one agency to build parts of a border wall along the Texas border with Mexico, right? That was not an appropriate use of his power. This would be. He could move money to these communities right now to help them. He has the power to do that. An emergency situation like a flood of this magnitude makes sense, but he's not doing it because he's holding flood relief hostage to get these what we're calling MAGA maps to predetermine the 26 elections.
It's shocking to me how comfortable they are rubbing their own constituents' faces. Now, this all started, Donald Trump said he wanted 5 seats in Texas. How do you unfold from there for you guys?
Right. Well, so we had heard that this was going to happen about a month ago. We had heard rumors, right? And so I started letting people know that I had heard this. It didn't get added to our agenda until about 2 weeks ago. And what is crazy about that is that the response from Texans has been overwhelming. We had 1,000 people show up to testify in Arlington, Texas, mostly, vast majority against the maps, right? We had similar response in Houston, in Austin. This was before the map was released. The map was just released yesterday, where actually this Capitol that I am sitting in right now, I represent this part of Austin in Texas House. This part of all of downtown Austin is put into a Republican congressional district that goes way to East Texas. It's got A&M in it. It is absolutely egregious. It is a craven power grab, and Texans are responding with fight. And that has been the inspiring part.
Yeah, I showed a couple of videos at the beginning there. I mean, people were really angry. Obviously, saw the candidate get arrested last week, and you've seen people being. I mean, they've been disrespected in the hearings where the Republicans are on their phones just hanging out, kind of when people are trying to talk. I mean, it really is a dogfight. I think Hakeem Jeffries came down today as well. I mean, what is your strategy as you guys fight this? What is you lead the Progressive Redistricting Caucus? Like, what is your strategy? I mean, it's tough. It's an uphill battle, isn't it?
Well, our strategy is to fight every day. It's situational, right? I was part of the 2021 quorum break when we went to DC. In fact, I organized it. We went to DC. I organized the first part of it where we left and we went to an African American church to kill the anti-voter bill. So we had no idea. But when we did that, there was such a national spotlight put on what Republicans were doing in Texas that we shamed them into gutting their own bill. They could not defend banning Sunday morning voting, which was a target on African American churches to ban souls to the polls, a long-standing tradition in churches where the faith community goes after church to vote as a church community, right? They could not defend giving an elected judge the power to overturn election results, the will of the voters. So they stripped those parts out. So our thought is we fight to win today when institutions all over this country are bowing down to Trump. We're about to show the world what it means to take the fight directly to him, and we fight every day to win.
And there's a lot of feedback now that this isn't I've actually saw some interviews where even Republican operators saying they didn't want this, that this is sort of being forced on their own throats. Are you seeing that in the Hill among your Republican colleagues? I mean, do they realize that they had now been placed right in the crosshairs by Donald Trump?
What I have heard is no, Republicans don't want this, but it's just like everything else. They won't stand up to Trump. They're not free, right? And so Texans are standing up to these Republican legislators and saying, no, we're not going to let Trump take our vote and our voice away. And so I've just been so proud at the response in Texas.
Yeah, and it is truly a fight. I mean, how do you think they're doing? I mean, do you think they've got a chance of pulling this off, or is there going to be enough public pressure they find a way? I mean, I know they do always seem to find ways, like maybe kick the can down the road at least, maybe till the pressure's off. I mean, where are you guys at this moment? And we're looking at with Friday. Where are you guys in the fight?
This is what I say. There are no guarantees in this fight, except that if we don't fight, Trump will get his max, right?
Yeah.
And so we take it day by day. I feel good about where we are as Democrats and our determination to really take this fight on to win. And so I feel good about where we are because the people are with us. It's a lot easier to take bold, decisive action when you know that the people are with us. We even had somebody running for Congress as a Republican on the first day come and testify to say, this is not the way. We had the former Republican chair of redistricting write an op-ed to say, this is not the way. Because here's the thing. Yes, we know every 10 years the party in power gets to draw the maps, and that's not right, but that's reality.
Yeah.
You can't do it every time, right? You can't do it every time because then you don't have free and fair elections. And so what I really think is happening here is if they get away with this, they'll do it again next time. They'll do it across this country. They are breaking up Latino communities and voices and voting power. And this is a novel way they're coming at drawing these districts that they will take to the rest of the country.
And that's key to this, isn't it? I mean, I think the Republicans, we do know that Latino men especially did shift a little bit towards the Republicans. They're feeling kind of their oats that maybe they're starting to win the Latino community. I don't think this is going to help, is it?
No, I don't think so. They are breaking up communities of interest to dilute the voting power of Latinos. So they're packing, they're cutting up these communities, and which is really taking away a community's ability to choose the representative of their choice. So it is not a true Latino district. This is a new way of drawing these districts, and they're testing it out again. They targeted these districts because they are majority minority, because they are black and brown. That is the letter from the attorney general to Greg Abbott. She said these districts are being targeted because they are black and brown. That's it. Because they exist, which is nuts.
Yeah. And again, going beyond that, these are communities of that, again, communities aren't based on color, right? They are based on a shared culture and who they believe, their beliefs, their needs. Austin's downtown needs aren't the same as East Texas. They're 300 miles apart, right? And so this goes beyond to focus purely on color is exactly the racism they supposedly are trying to stop, isn't it? It's there are communities of interest. Austin is a uniquely individual city, famously so, isn't it? And it must be hard for you to represent that area and see some trying to divide it up because they know how unique Austin is, isn't it?
That's right. So it's not a surprise that they're targeting us,
Yeah.
but you should know, and your viewers should know that last month we were in court on these maps because they were already the most racially gerrymandered in the whole country, right? They swore, the state of Texas and Greg Abbott, they swore that they did not take race into account when drawing these maps. So that's as they exist. Now they're coming back and saying, we're targeting them because we think that it must have been taken into account because they're black and brown. So they were lying then or they're lying now, right? Either way. And so either way, the lines that are being chosen and drawn are based on race and racist on their race in a way that that takes power away from communities of color.
And in the end, that's the issue, right? This is really about elected officials picking their voters instead of voters picking their elected officials. And this is a battle for the very soul of our democracy in a lot of ways. And Donald Trump wants this just because he's scared. He knows he's in trouble. But this could have national implications, right? I mean, they only got a majority of 2 people right now, or 3 people. This isn't a small bit where you talk three to five seats. This has national implications, doesn't it? I mean, are national Democrats calling you? I mean, and kind of urging the fight, or how are you getting support nationally?
It's kind of crazy because when we broke quorum in 2021, it was like road. We just did it. We got angry and we left. This time, though, we have Democrats all over the country who have our back. So it's an interesting place, unusual place for us to be in. But yeah, people understand that what happens in Texas affects every single American. Every American will have to live with the consequences because they see the polls. They know Democrats are anticipated to flip the US Congress, and they are running scared, trying to stop that from happening. That's not who we are. In America, we exist because of a desire and a right of representation. And they're trying to take that away and take away basically free and fair elections.
Yeah, and we see here, I'm in Missouri, and they're talking about doing it here in Missouri too to get rid of Emmanuel Cleaver's seat of all places. A gentleman who's been in power for a while and is very secure in Kansas City, and it is truly an act of racism in every way. I mean, there's just no other way to describe it. So I guess in this fight, where are you guys in the fight at this moment? Where are you in the special set? So I understand for us folks, if the special session runs out, do you win, or what does victory look like at this point?
Right. So again, it's situational. We have 2 weeks left in this special session. We have the hearing on the maps, the bill, tomorrow in Austin. So once that happens, we don't have the votes on the committee to block the bill. Democrats don't have the numbers there. So I anticipate the bill passes because they don't care that the vast majority of people will show up to testify against it. That hasn't stopped them yet. So
Damn public opinion. Who cares about that?
right,
It's just,
no, they don't care. They're doing as told. They're doing Republicans in Texas, Greg Abbott, are doing what Donald Trump told them to do. That's it.
Yeah.
They don't get it. They don't get a say. Or they don't use their voice. I'll say that. So we expect the bill to be on the floor at the beginning of next week, right? So that's where we are. And if we kill the bill for this session, which we are working to do, we win today and we take on tomorrow's fight tomorrow. That's the way I see this fight. That's the way most of us in the progressive caucus see this fight. We're fighting every day to win.
Yeah, and what is their next opportunity to try and bring it back up again then? Another special session, or can they call a special session of this, or is it the regular session next time?
Well, so the governor has the power to call as many special sessions as he wants.
Of course.
The last time we were in session, he wanted to pass a school voucher scam
Right.
and brought us back for 5 or 6 special sessions, and we beat him every time, by the way. And so he could call another special session. Now, the difference, though, is that at some point you start running into elections deadlines.
Right.
So there is a finite window here. So in that sense, this can't go on forever.
Right. That's true. I mean, they had to get set by a certain amount of time. You guys have an early primary, if I remember correctly. Your primary for 26 is fairly early in 25, isn't it? Or 26, I mean.
Our primary is in March. So
so,
finally,
yeah.
deadline is December 8th of this
Yeah.
year.
Wow.
Primaries are in March.
Wow. So, I mean, you are on deadline right now. I mean, December 8th. So they've got to have this set pretty quickly. Otherwise, it's too late. So that is key. Yeah. Wow. I mean, and in the end, political power. Do you think this could break their monolith in a lot of ways, where people finally say, even Republicans, it is naked greed, right? It's corruption in the pure sense. Are you hearing that, maybe the fever's breaking a little bit when people see this kind of stuff?
Look,
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that when Democrats don't win, it's because the people don't see us fight like we need to fight, right?
You're not seeing eye to eye.
This scheme to rig the 26 elections by Trump is in some ways a gift to us because we get to take the fight directly to Donald Trump. And so that's how I see this. This is motivated, energized, activated Texans like nothing I've seen in a long, long time. So I am taking this on with kind of gusto and pride about who we are. Yes, have they gone too far? Absolutely. Our fight will demonstrate to Texas and to the world that we're not willing to sit down and take this. We will fight back for our people.
I mean, they've handed so much on a platter. I'm going back to our very first question. This is supposed to be a special session about deadly floods that killed dozens of people, including beautiful little girls and whole families. And yet they're much more prioritizing not public safety, not governing. They're prioritizing Donald Trump's desire to stay in power. It does feel like a bit of a platter. It really does. So most important, how can people support your efforts, and how can they find out more information about you, ma'am, and how can they support you?
Right. Well, so I'm chairing the Progressive Caucus fight on this effort. Last time when we broke quorum in 2021, a lot of us from the Progressive Caucus were the members who led it. Right. We stay really close in touch with our base and Democrats and voters, and in lots of ways, we have an opportunity to shift and move this fight. So we've organized to lead. And we're building up for this fight because we believe this is a winnable fight, and we are absolutely playing to win.
Well, I love it. And again, it's not just a Texas fight. It's a national fight. Obviously, Gavin Newsom has stepped up saying, we're not going to take us laying down. Kathy Hochul, it's a death march, and they're opening up a very, very dangerous fight if they do go this way. So, well, it's great to see you on the front lines. I'm so glad we got the opportunity to talk. I appreciate it. And I'll let you go back to the fight. And so, thank you so much. Could you tell everybody like what is your social media, ma'am?
Yes, I'm at Gina for Austin. So that's my Twitter handle.
Perfect.
You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram.
I love it. Perfect. Well, we'll look you up, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Good luck on the fight. Keep up with us, and we'll keep checking on you.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye now. Wow, great conversation representing the host. So you can find her at Gina for Austin, as she mentioned. I put the wrong banner up because that's what I do. You guys are used to it by now here on Friday nights. Anyway, great conversation. Busy folks down there. Look, as I said in the opening, this is a very serious matter. I mean, it is not a small thing of one state being, a non-cycle redistricting is not small. And when you look at that testimony I showed you at the beginning of the deputy attorney general who sent this letter, the only state she sent a letter to within days of Donald Trump talking about redistricting Texas, you can see that the barriers between DOJ and the executive branch don't exist. That unlike past presidents who tried not to muddle too much in the DOJ, that is not how it works for Donald Trump, and he's giving them direction. At least Pam Bondi is getting the message she's supposed to be receiving and acting on that. It's very, very dangerous, and it's dangerous for our democracy. But as she said, and I agree, and you guys know me well enough by now, we need to fight. And I don't want to hear. And look, there's some good folks out there saying, "Oh, we're going to get into a fight with them, where we're going to devolve into everybody's redistricting." Look, folks, wake up. They're doing it already. They've been doing it. We're continuing to fight with one arm behind our back. People want us to fight. And if Texas chooses to try and save Donald Trump this way, two of the most populous states in the union, New York and California, have constitutions that allow them to do it too. This is going to be very, very ugly for everyone. And it's not fair to voters. Absolutely not. But in the end, they started this. And until we start fighting back using the same tools and tactics that they've been using, we are going to keep on losing our democracy, and we can't have that. So in the meantime, like I said, follow her at Gina for Austin. Is terrific, terrific leader. She's got a lot going on, and I just really appreciate the time she was able to give us, all of us hang out together today, when she took time between sessions to record that interview. In the meantime, as always, you can find us right here every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. But even better, you can find Too Late to Cancel every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, right on the On Democracy channel or all my social networks. I'd love you to go to the On Democracy channel YouTube. We've got some great stuff going on there right now. We've been adding new shows, doing interviews, all that. That's at On Democracy channel. It doesn't cost anything to click that subscribe button. Just go on there to that YouTube channel, On Democracy channel, do that. I hope you're catching our In the Hot Seat interviews right here on Midas Touch, periodic interviews with candidates running for Senate, Congress. I think I got a governor's candidate coming up. Those are fascinating discussions with people. I just talked to independent candidate Senate for the Senate in South Dakota, Brian Bangs, this week. Fascinating interviews, 15 minutes tops. Definitely worth your time, I hope, and you'll learn some more about those who are running and stepping up to run for higher office. In the meantime, as I said, this is On Democracy F. Wellman. I am Fred Wellman. We appreciate you. Subscribe to our Substack, and we will see you right back here next week, same time, same place. Can't wait to talk to you again. Hang in there. Remember, folks, this shit never ends, so we got to keep up the fight. I know we are too. Thanks.